People often say they want to be better listeners, and oftentimes they don't know how to be a better listener. Perhaps you realize either at work or in some of your personal relationships, people are talking, you're not listening, you find yourself some other place or thinking how to respond instead of actually capturing what they're sharing with you. So today we're going to share a few tips, about 3 tips on how to be a better listener. So tip number 1 is to be present. When you are actually in the moment with someone, when you are paying them full attention, it really shows. So the first thing you can do is turn off your phone, turn off the alarms, turn off the other stuff, even your watches. A lot of people now be in conversations and it's routine to see them stop and check their watch because some alerts come through. It's really distracting. And so you're letting yourself get out of touch with the person that you're talking to. A second way to really be present is to mentally be present. And that can come into things like reducing the assumptions that you're making about this particular person or what they know or don't know, or they're going to say the same old stuff that they always say. You're tuning out because of some preconceived ideas you've had. The second thing you can do is to extend this person the benefit of the doubt. So, and I'm guilty of this, sometimes I'll start to hear something and I'll think, this person's talking crazy. Like part of me doesn't even want to listen to the rest of this. It's important to remember that person's not crazy, or if they were, you wouldn't be working with them or living with them or whatever. So extend them the benefit of the doubt. They're bringing something to you and there's probably something good behind it. The second thing to do is listen with an intent to understand. All right. The intending to understand part is so important because this is where when someone says something and you think, gosh, I don't know what that means, that's a great time to ask questions. Oftentimes in conversations, people will speak or they'll share something with us and we'll think, I don't know exactly what that means. When you ask questions, you're showing them that you are really wanting to understand. You're wanting to get what they're intending to get across. Even if they don't say it perfectly, and hell, who does? Now you're doing your part. One other thing you can do with intending to understand is when you listen with the intent to understand, you're doing something different than when you listen to have a reply or prepare a response. Oftentimes, and I've caught myself doing this, I'll listen to someone and instead of listening to understand, I'm listening so that I can say something in return. I'm listening so that I can say, well, what about this? Or how about that? And those thoughts can be fine. They may be very, very valid things to cover. What's important though is to really get what they're intending to share with you first. One of the things that can also happen is, and I've also done this one, I'm telling on myself, is instead of listening to understand, sometimes I'll listen and then I'll want to say something or ask a question to show that I'm a smart guy. I want to make sure that they know I'm a smart guy. And that really comes across. So I've shot myself in the foot so I can help you with that. Other people know when your intent is to show how smart you are about something, to ask some pointed question that isn't really helping the conversation. You're just kind of showing off what you know. It comes right through. So the third thing you can do to help yourself listen is to take notes. This is going in all caps because so few people do this. It's stunning how many meetings I go to, how many conversations I've had with team members, and people will show up without pen, without paper. When you show up ready to take notes, and sometimes it's important to ask. It's important to ask because the information covered may be fairly sensitive, because it may be distracting for that person if you take notes. So if you sense that you're getting in one of those conversations or situations, just ask. By taking notes though, you're doing something that's really important. One, you're showing that you care. I care enough to literally write down some key parts of what we're talking about. What you're also doing is you're equipping yourself with those notes so that later on, if someone stops you and they say, hey Ivan, remember that conversation we had? You can say, oh, I can do more than just remember the conversation. I've got my notes. Let me grab my notes and I'll be ready to talk with you about it. Listening to others shows them that we really care about what they're sharing, what they're providing. It's one of the most important ways we can connect with other people is to sincerely and honestly listen. It's also one of the rarest things that we find. So if you want to be one of the folks who people go to because they say, man, Joe or Sally is a fantastic listener, the more you're fully present, really suspend judgment of yourself, suspend judgment of them as well as a part of that, the more you intend to understand. So ask more questions, check in with what does that mean? I don't want to make any assumptions. And then last and certainly not least, when you take notes, particularly when there's a lot of technical information or there's things that are very important details that you don't want to lose, that's a fantastic way to show just how important this conversation is because you're taking the time to write that down. Hope these help. Play with these. Let me know in the comments which of these you've been doing or which one of these perhaps you have a hard time going over and or utilizing in real life, and we can jump into that in another video.